Greetings in this 2018 new year. This is my Christmas card for the last year, and I've decided to include much more than just 1 year's of activity. So I'm starting with my family in the 1940s. Here are my grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. My parents married just before World War II. Father was in training in Texas, so Mother and I went down to be with him. He served as a tank destroyer commander in Germany during the battle, remaining in battle for a consecutive 6 months. My grandma Tipton and my sister and I on her lap outside her apartment building in Milwaukee Street. I was the older brother and I had a bicycle. My sister wanted one too, and she finally got one with a big smile. Kathy was sad to see me go to school and leave her home alone. I didn't look too happy myself either. She would wait for me to come home and play. My father, cousin, Jerry, always had cool cars. We would help them wash them. Milwaukee was a fun place. We would go down to Lake Michigan swimming. When Kathy was a little older, she got her first glasses. Years later, while attending college in Oshkosh, Marianne and I married in 1967. These pictures are a little blurry because they were taken from a video. We were blessed with a daughter. My sister and brother-in-law came out for the baptism with my mother and father. Mother was very pleased to have a granddaughter. I was in the Navy. Angela was trying to wear my Navy hat. It was always fun having my mother come out. She was happy to see us. We went to Wisconsin for Christmas. My father is sitting there holding Angela. We enjoyed Christmas with cousin Ruth, Kathy, Mom, and little cousin Patty. My Aunt Lorraine was kind of the matriarch of the family. Kathy and Marianne here are watching Angela in Kathy's apartment. Brother-in-law Ken is ready to go out in his new snowmobile suit. Cousin Patty is holding Angela. And I'm amazed at how tiny this child is. A couple years later, we were able to buy a house in Waldorf, St. Charles, and we had a second daughter, Tracy. My father-in-law, Harry, came to visit us. Our daughters were growing up and became good dancers. Here are their dancing glam photos. The marriage lasted 12 years. A few years later, I met Carol. We married in 1984. We attended cousin Karen and Jay's wedding in Charleston, South Carolina. And here's my cousin Bob and Karen, the happy bride and father. Jay graduated from the Citadel and was commissioned into the Navy. Here's a nice picture of the whole family, cousins Virginia and Bob. My little dancer grew up and now had a baby of her own and was living in Dallas, Texas. My other little dancer was visiting. She wore her stage hair with her new future husband, Rustin. Carol, my daughter-in-law, and I would spend vacations at the beach. Here's my son Eric and his mom. A trip to Milwaukee to visit my sister, brother-in-law, cousins Dorothy and Cheryl. Milwaukee has a beautiful skyline, and these are some of the buildings along the very scenic waterfront. We had lunch and a visit with my father also. You got a lot of good restaurants there. Here we are at Lake Geneva with cousin Dorothy and Kathy. One time we had a little fun with little Carlos. We told him there was buried treasure in my backyard. So he got a shovel and was thrilled to see a pirate's treasure chest buried under the ground. Eric had a boat, and we enjoyed going out on it an awful lot. Here are some of the beach pictures of Eric and his wife Marianne, my daughter Tracy and her husband Timmy, the Pittsburgh crowd, Pat and I standing by the ocean, and granddaughter Jill with us having a glass of wine with Eric and Marianne. Pat and I were kind of adventurous, so we decided to take a helicopter ride up the beach and see what the beach looked like from the sky. That was a lot of fun. A few months later in 2012, we married in the chapel of Potomac Hospital where we met. Pat's mother was able to see her firstborn married. Here's my two little dancers and their children. My other grandchildren from the Pittsburgh group are here. Timmy and Tracy enjoying some new wines. And Eric is having a very interesting good time with a new barbecue sauce he discovered. Hershey, Pennsylvania was one of the dance convention sites. It was a lot of fun. Eric and Marianne also enjoyed going to Good. We took a little trip to Point Lookout, Southern Maryland, where a couple of Pat's ancestors that fought for the South were buried and imprisoned. Tracy was very involved with her church. She's also a very good soprano. Pat and I enjoyed this exhibit at the Arboretum in Nashville, in North Carolina. Here's a dance convention picture. Marianne entertaining Lil Hartley. Tracy and the little dancer now grown up and has little dancers of her own. Pat and I spent some time up in Skyline Drive with this beautiful mountain view. Tracy came to visit us at a nice restaurant along one of our reservoir lakes. We took a trip to Milwaukee and stayed at a hotel where Teddy Roosevelt was shot in an attempted assassination. We had a nice dinner here with my sister and brother-in-law and daughter Tracy. Our grandchildren checking out the statue of Father Pierre Marquette. This is the Plankington Arcade where my grandmother many years ago would take my sister and I for little walks. It's a big old building with lots of activities. Here's more beach pictures. We enjoyed going to the beach a lot. Here's Rustin. He owns this dance competition company. This is one of our interesting restaurants in Richmond, the Tobacco Company. The Train Museum in Spencer, North Carolina was a lot of fun. There's a beautiful old engine. A wine tour in Charlottesville. We seek them out to find them good wineries and good food. I know it's not really my plane, but I wish I was so I could fly to some wineries and travel to them. Pat and I stayed at early Shirley Plantation Winery, also very good food. The James River is behind me on a nice day with a beautiful view of the city in the background. Another dance convention and Roxy on her hoverboard. She makes it look so easy. And again, this is our family, where it all started. I hope you enjoyed these scenes, and this is more than just a year of my life. I realize that it's 3/4 of a century. It's been pretty good for me so far, and I want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, Happy Groundhog's Day, and also St. Valentine's Day.